All right. Hello, everyone. I'm here with Arian, the man, the myth, the legend. Um, do you do you want to just start? I know it's been a while since we started this whole thing together, but do you just want to touch briefly on Sleepy Sloth
Yeah,
a
so
little bit, just briefly what it is, and then like where you guys were at when we started working together and what you were
yeah.
looking for.
So the Sleepy Sloth is like a bamboo baby apparel and pajamas company. And so we have a lot of kids pajamas and apparel. Essentially, like when we started, like we pretty much were like looking to kind of revamp and optimize our email marketing because a lot of our sales traditionally come from Facebook and Meta, especially ads. And we kind of saw that there was a lot of low hanging fruit in the email funnels. And our percentages, like while they were good compared to like industry standards, what like showed in Klaviyo, they weren't nearly where they should be. And so that's when we reached out to you to kind of help fix a lot of that in our segmentation and stuff like that.
So you're running everything in-house, right?
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about was the biggest takeaway for you like getting the time and like not having it on your guys' plate anymore, or
Yeah.
was the
I
biggest thing
think
just like from a numbers perspective?
Well, I think it was a combination of like time and skill set because the people that we do have like kind of running the show, they're more just like moms that it's like kind of their side jobs where it's like, all right, they send the email out. And it was just almost like, okay, as long as we're sending emails out, like everything's good. But there wasn't the segmentation, there wasn't the flows, there was the things to follow up that actually increased the overall revenue. And so once like you actually set those things up, it kind of like jumped like high percentages. I mean, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it jumped a lot, and it just nice to like be able to have that process facilitated without it having to be like, oh, okay, let's figure out this and like talk to everybody um and on the team. It's just made it to where it was like, okay, cool, we're just gonna do it like this. You made it super easy. You would send all of the graphics, all of kind of the copy things that we were gonna go through. We were just able to review it really quickly and just get everything launched in like a couple of weeks and really see that return on investment super fast. So that was really
Awesome.
the key for us.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. So it
Yeah.
sounds like from the communication perspective, that was gonna be my next question anyways.
Mm.
You felt like the communication was good and quick. I think that's a big thing that we try to touch on is like communicate a lot. And I know when
Yeah.
we started to work together, it was basically just me communicating, but now my team's expanded a little bit. So we try to do daily communications and KPI updates. So just reiterating that, you felt like the communication process was good,
Oh,
or was there
definitely.
points of improvement, or was it
No,
good for you
it
to
was
just know
definitely
stuff was happening?
Yeah, no, it was definitely good because like I always feel like that's the hardest thing with a lot of like digital services is most people don't follow up enough, and then a lot of times it's like you don't know or feel like things are happening. And it's just that like little constant reminder. So you did like a really good job of that, whether it was in Slack, whether it was through text, just reaching out, and like even when like times where I would get busy or not be as responsive, you would always like follow up to make sure, and then it kind of helped expedite the process, so it wasn't like a slow hang up waiting for communication. It was always just like quick, easy, and just like push through everything really fast.
Awesome. Appreciate it. I
Yeah.
promise I'm not paying him to say any of this
no,
stuff. This is not a setup.
that, no, you're actually great at this. So that's why I'm willing to come and do this because you actually did a really great job. And so anytime I have anything like this in the future, I'm definitely gonna come right back here because it was just simple, easy, and like you have a lot of things that like me in terms of like the same way I communicate to people and break things down. Like I always think that's key because while I'm a person that's like really understands technology, a lot of people don't. And like I've always found over time that's like the more that like people that don't understand, I can like teach them or walk them through processes, then like that's kind of the magic sauce, and that's what's allowed my business to even grow over time. And so that's one of the things I noticed immediately with you is like being able to like look at something, break it down, not give me the whole like, okay, like one person I remember they were like, oh yeah, give me $500 and I'll do an audit. I'm like, bro, like, do you want the or not? Like, I might pay you thousands a month. And you're talking about just like an audit. And so it's just like being able to like quickly like diagnose things and then like, all right, cool. Like, here's what it is. Here's a solution. and it's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna let you get it, and then once you see the results, it's even more. So I just think like the way that everything's handled across the board is great. So I definitely
Awesome.
wouldn't change anything there.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate those words, and I think that's the most fun thing for me is to actually see other people see the value in the stuff that we're implementing, and
Yeah,
especially with a brand like um, the one that we've been working on together. Because I know you're not. Are you technically full house or in house
yeah, yeah. I'm
or
technically
kind of
like being hired by
by
them.
them?
So
But
like,
yeah,
yeah, basically,
in context of this video, yeah, the company
yeah,
that you were with, like a bunch of moms running a kids pajama brand.
yeah,
So to help
yeah,
expand that and see like
yeah.
the engagement on the emails with like the
Or
post purchase flow, with them getting involved in like the online forum and community, I think it's really
oh
cool
yeah,
past just seeing the numbers grow. So that's awesome.
yeah, and
Um,
yeah,
yeah, you
because
want
I
to
feel
touch on?
like too one of the biggest things is that over time, like our average order value has increased even more since those flows have been engaged, and so I think it started like 75, and like we had already improved it from like the last year being at like $60 per order, but now it's all the way up to 80, and so I feel like a lot of that's attributed to that email flow and like keeping people really as like loyal customers over time because that's the
Yeah,
best way to do it is through email.
absolutely. Easily the best way to I like to say triple your customer lifetime value is with email because the unsubscribe rates are just way lower compared to them bouncing off the website and you never talking to them again. So I think
No,
it's
100%.
awesome. Um, one of my last questions I was going to ask
Mhm.
just if there's anything that surprised you of the process or going into looking to get some help on the email marketing department. Is there anything that you were like, oh wow, I like really was not expecting that? Um, because I like to ask that, but sometimes people have like big surprises.
The biggest thing is I feel like I didn't like while I expected some of the flows to improve, I didn't expect like the welcome flow to add that much attributed revenue. Like that was definitely the biggest surprise because I was just like, what was the welcome flow before? It was like that was super trash. I don't think I didn't realize it was that bad. So it's like that definitely was a big surprise. I would say definitely like how well like the communication was and everything's a big but good surprise. And then I would say I guess with email marketing, trying to think. Yeah, I feel like those are probably the main things I can think of for right now.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, like
I would
anything else?
I would say
Yeah,
I've heard that a lot because it has a lot to do with list growth, the welcome flow.
yeah,
So I think most people underappreciate the pop-up form. And so you
yeah,
guys already had good engagement, but I think it was at like 5%, and now your opt-in rates are over 10 most of the time. So
yeah.
doubling that definitely contributes.
And I would say that too is like, well, like I went into this knowing that like, okay, there were some things to be fixed. It was just the percentages and like how much it helped was the biggest surprise because it was like, all right, cool, like we'll scrape a couple extra, couple of percents here, a couple there. But it was just like too, even like the segmentation and like fixing like that to where it was like, okay, now all deliveries are open rates over 60% or 66%. It's like those things are like really were like, oh wow, like this really changed a lot to where it's like Klaviyo looks like a completely different place now. And yeah, it's all but just from just these like implementations that you did. So it's like really great all the way around.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad there's some satisfaction. I like
Yeah.
to hear that's ultimate. The ultimate goal is a long-term great case study that, especially with the automated revenue, it will
Oh
continue
yeah.
to give pay dividends down the line, still is today, for something that we set up in like January or something. It was like
Yeah.
it was a while
And
ago.
that's a yeah, and that's what it's like. It's really so cheap of an investment when you think about like how it's like, okay, yes, you can keep changing the flows up and optimizing even more, but even just from like just the setup, it's like it's still increase like more money than it would have been if it had to happen every single month. And
Right.
so that's one of those things that I feel like most like business owners, most people invest in this won't think about in terms of return on investment. It's like even just like getting it going that first setup, you save so much in terms of like or make so much more money than you would ever pay for it. So it's definitely worth it
Right.
in that regard.
Awesome. Final question for you is to anyone, and you can be completely honest here for sure, to anyone on the fence about like working with the email marketer in general, and then also specifically our team, Incendo team. Um, would you have any word of advice for them?
I would definitely say work with y'all just because it's the easiest solution. Um, Definitely do email marketing. It was like one of those things that I was like, it's like one of those things you think you can do yourself until you get someone else that specializes in it, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is so much easier. This is so much better, and it's like will only be worth it if it pays for itself. So I would definitely say if you're on the fence, like go ahead and just try it out. At least start with the initial setup. With that initial setup, then you'll be able to see like, okay, look at how much our revenues jumped. And then whatever you'll basically be paying for the monthly service at that point. Like the amount of money that you'll make will definitely cover that monthly service. And so yeah, that's like the best way to, if you're on the fence, dip your toe in, but you'll end up kind of getting hooked in a sense of like being like, oh, wow, now I don't even have to worry about this. I can just hit check, check, check. I'll change this here and just keep it moving. So I think that's definitely the better way to do email marketing 100%.
Amazing, awesome. I love to hear
Yeah.
it. There's nothing that brings me more joy than like actually hear. It's cool to see the numbers are put together in case that they actually hear
Oh,
it
yeah.
from a
Yeah.
client's mouth. Like I'm glad I did it. That's awesome. So I
Yeah.
appreciate
Definitely.
you coming on for the interview today, Arian, and
Oh, 100%.
catch you guys next time.